Okay, I guess we're ready. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call the April 4th meeting of Caud in order. First order of the business, meeting minutes from March 7th. Motion to approve that.
Motion to approve the minutes is presented.
Okay, thank you. And I neglected to, second by Dan. All in favor? Neglect to go around the room and introduce ourselves just for the record of who's here.
John Darrell, Caud Commissioner.
Dan Need, Caud Commissioner.
David Whalen, Caud Commissioner.
Sophia Rossanetti, the City Council, Second District. Commission.
Julia Burling, Director of Planning.
Dylan Pelton, I am the Historic Preservation Neighborhood Planner.
All right, thank you. First on the agenda is 45 Lewis Street. See the applicant here. Do you guys want to come down? Thank you. You're not bringing your muscle with you? You're leaving him up there in the stands? Okay. All right. I don't think you need him today. All right, just announce, give us your name, Mark, and okay. Step. Oh, I'm sorry. Turn their mic on. Push that button so it's green. There you go. Go again. Say your name again so it's recorded.
Mark Yanati, Station 45, American Chop House, 45 Lewis Street, Binghamton.
All right, thanks, Mark. Staff have anything they want to introduce on this project? Just as a background or?
This has been held over. It's for the installation of a sign on the side of the building. It's illuminated from behind in stencil letters. And the language for it was changed here in the historic design guidelines for lighting.
Okay, right. Members aware of all that took place, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Comments from the board at all?
If I may be so inclined, we liked the sign when it was not admissible. Now that the city council has seen fit to amend our guidelines, I would like to propose a motion to approve the sign as presented.
Okay. Second by David. All in favor? Aye. Thank you
Do I
for
get to
coming in.
vote?
Didn't need
sign
your,
back on it.
didn't need your muscle up there.
Something good is worth waiting for, Mark.
Next on the agenda, 37 Front Street. How are you?
Good. My name is Chip Williamson, and I'm one of the three owners of 37 Front Street. And we're redoing the third floor. Is it okay for me to talk, or is that?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay.
Usually we'll have a staff do a presentation, but then we'll turn it over to you. So if you want to add anything.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dylan.
For this case, the applicant Kevin Ekstrom would like to install a window on the back gabled end facing west parallel to Leroy Street. Window would encompass the entirety of the gabled end of the structure.
Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, so we're looking, like I said, we're working on the third floor, and there's one window that we want to replace on the front. That's one in the back. And then the one in the front. Yep, that's the picture. Yep. So if you guys are concerned with the look, what we came up with was, I talked to I3, we can screen print and do like the sign that they do that are one way that you can see through. In other words, from the outside, we would screen print it to look like the fish scale that was up there before. But we'd be able to see through, because what we're looking to do is really, lighten up the room and stuff like this. This was one example, and then this was just another example with the perforated type sign, because from 25, 30 feet, you're not gonna be able to tell that it's not, what it was before.
Do we have those photos on the screen? No. Are they in our packet?
Yeah, these were new. I'm
You
sorry.
could pass it around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
I'm
you
happy
would
to.
just pass those around so we could see. I thought I might have missed something. I didn't see it. Okay,
So the screen printing, would it reflect the color of the pediment, or is it gonna be a different color?
No, we would try to make it look the same. I mean, we try to just make it look like, and what we had just talked about was either keeping the window on there. So it would look like either this or just taking the window out and having the fish scale siding.
I looked at his pictures when I was talking to him before. I like the idea of just the fish scale for the entire pediment rather than putting a fake window in place. That just visually, I thought it was better and more consistent with the architectural integrity of the building.
all right, so as I'm looking at that photograph there, am I seeing a window, a triangle
Yeah.
window?
The entire pediment is, if I understand it correctly, the entire pediment is going to be one solid window with fish scale.
So that's
Fine.
it. That's it without the fish scale. We just wanted to show you what the window was like, and then it would look like this, or we would just take the window out and have just a fish scale screen printed on it.
You need the window? Do you need the light at that level?
We want the light up there.
Okay,
It's going to be a beautiful space up there. There's some skylights and stuff, and the hope is that, you know, that it can be, that we can see the river from there because it's high enough.
So on the application, it looks like, from what I see, it's only on the rear on the application, but what you're showing up there is on the front facade.
Well, yeah, I thought we were talking about the front and the rear.
Okay.
And it would be a similar thing.
Summer, yeah.
It'd be a similar thing on the back, except that we have, the issue that we have to deal with on the back is that there's part of the structure that's including, you know, the end of the triangle. So either the window's got to be made like that, or we would have to pivot to something like this potentially. But that's looking down Leroy Street.
Can I ask you a question? So the rear is where the window will go? Or you're going to have that in the front and the back?
Front and the back.
Okay, I don't believe that was included in your application and the sign wasn't in the application either. So the only thing,
It's gonna be a sign. It's just gonna be a screen. It's like what they do for the sign. It's just gonna be screen printed to look like the siding. So I was just using the sign as an example. Yeah, it's gonna be a screen printed window. I was just showing the sign because it shows how it's one way, that from the outside you can see one thing. So you would see the siding like it was before.
so nothing will be printed on it. It's just a covering over the window.
It's those perforated one-way signs that you see on the bus, or like I said, I sent that example around. And again, it's 25, 30 feet in the air. So it'd be very hard to tell that it wasn't the siding. But I'm sorry if I3 is supposed to meet with me. They were supposed to be there last week. They didn't come. We talked about both either using the front or the back. They think it's probably going to have to be on the outside. And they said it should easily last for 6 to 8 years at least.
I think that's how we understood it from our last meeting, that printing has to be on the outside. Okay, and just for clarity, and I might be a little bit slow today. So the screen that you would want to put on the window, no lettering, no advertising, just see through, don't see in.
We
is
just
your
wanted to make
intent.
it, again, our understanding was you guys were concerned about things looking the same. So we were just trying to make it look the same. So like I said, it would just be this fish scale up there for the whole area, and it would just look like the siding. We would try to match the color, everything.
Okay. All right, so you'd
So
take
no
that whole-
lettering, no logo.
All right, I understand better now. You take that whole and the whole triangle, it would be a glass.
Yeah.
And you're gonna put the screen on that.
On the entire thing.
So you don't have a fishbowl, what you're
Yeah.
looking for. Okay. All right. So from my architectural side, what do you guys think about that
I mean,
full piece of glass?
it is the primary facade. I know our guidelines usually say like alterations, like significant alterations of windows would be on a secondary facade. I mean, I'd be curious what other people thought about going out on a limb with the screening. I mean, it might preserve the look. I just don't know. I mean, from last meeting, there was some concern just about the lifespan, and I know we just talked about that of the screening.
Yeah, there
And
is a
just what
life.
it would,
I-
if
we
it would
understood.
look
Right.
like authentic, it's just a. I mean, we'd be going out on a limb there, I guess.
This is also on the list of landmark properties for Bennington.
Right. So the back part, I don't have as much of a problem with, but, and then the front part, I kind of see what other people think too about going out on a limb just with the screen, if that would preserve the look.
So typically with the original construction of that house, it's just scalloped across there. There's no windows or where there
There
was.
might have been a third floor window. Have to see an old picture, but
Mhm.
so can I throw in for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, I'm with Dan. The back doesn't present a problem to me at this time. We don't have an application for the front.
It was my understanding when I spoke to, not you, but
Yeah, it was Kevin and I.
yeah, it was Kevin. He was gonna try to avoid doing it in the front and just doing it in the back.
But so we don't have an application for the front. And I'm
The
not seeing,
rendering was for the front, but that's all he gave me. Like all this other stuff, I don't have.
no, the renderings for the back, isn't it?
No,
The renderings for the back,
it looks like the front. 'cause on
That's
back,
the
there's
front
kind
right
of a-
there.
but I mean,
Chip out.
the window,
Right.
but the window applications for the rear. We don't have an application for the front. Okay, that makes it simpler for me. I'm a very simple person.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. I didn't realize that they only put it in for the back. I mean, but we're looking to do it on both the front and the back.
We can't vote on what we don't have an application
Okay,
for.
well, then we'll amend that or we'll
Okay.
give another one.
And my suggestion would be, if I'm allowed to make a suggestion, I'm a very suggestive person. Bring in a mock-up of what the screen printing would look like for the scallops. Maybe give us two alternatives if you want a window, if you don't want the fake window.
Okay.
The more you can bring us, the easier it's gonna be.
Okay.
That being said, I'm not uncomfortable with the back being done. It's a secondary facade. It's really only visible if you're heading east on Leroy Street. I would be in favor
I
of it.
apologize. It is in the application
Oh,
to
we
have
do
a
have-
window in the front and a window in the back.
Can we break it down into component parts?
Well, I think so. Yeah, but I think you're gonna have to because from what the conversation has been, I see a distinction between front and back.
I'm supportive of the rear as presented at this time. And I'll make a motion if there's no further discussion on the
The o-
rear.
the only thing that, the only thing we don't know is what that's actually gonna look like. Is it going to, or don't, maybe we don't care. If it doesn't look like scallops, do we not care?
Well, I'd be in favor of the scallop even on the rear facade. And my line of thought is that when the sun is going down in the west, that's going to be one heck of a reflective mirror pushing back up Leroy Street, and you're coming down to a major intersection on Leroy in front with traffic lights. You have the bank on the corner, lofts, there's apartment buildings. It's a high traffic area, and I think we would need some diffusion of the reflective property of the window, just in the interest of safety.
Mhm.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. So, pardon the mask. I had stated that because of the expanse of window that we put in the pediment, when the sun is setting in the west, it's going to create a huge, almost mirror-like reflective body, which I think would be hazardous to traffic. It's a high traffic intersection. You have the bank, you have the apartment buildings down there, the student housing and whatnot. I think that we would want to have the faux scallop shingle facade just to diffuse the reflective property of the window, just for safety.
Would the screen printing material reduce the reflectivity?
I
of it?
think it's going
would
to.
think
I
it
mean,
would.
again,
Yeah.
I was supposed to meet with I3 and their gentleman was sick and I will meet with them and I could bring in a sample next time if I need to.
The back, sir.
No,
Well,
we might be-
kind of thinking you should. You're going to put a.
Yeah.
You're talking about the rear pediment going to be a whole one window, right?
Yeah, that's what,
So it's going to turn into a large mirror when the sun's setting going down in the west. So just replacing the pre-existing window? Yeah,
Well,
that's,
Well, what we're saying was our secondary option was to go with something like this. If they don't think they can get the whole,
So just a little Gothic window.
well, but I mean, this is a little bit bigger than,
I understand that, but
Yeah.
again, he needs to have the application for
Okay.
that, for us to vote on it,
okay.
unless I'm confused, which I usually am. That would fall to Dylan, for the guidelines for that, but because it's a primary facade on a historic property, the front is a lot more important than the back is. You know,
Well,
that's the gentleman
you
right
can-
there. I'm sorry to throw.
You
it
can
out.
replace them like in time period window would be an arch window, a Palladian window. They're historic windows that look like historic windows, and then there are ones that don't. And that's what we're primarily concerned with is the facade of the building, maintain that historic quality to it. So replacing the entire thing with glass isn't historically accurate whatsoever. But having a larger window would be fine.
Your little arched window.
The other thing you
just
want
showed
to,
me,
the other thing by
probably
looking
work.
at this, I want you guys to keep in mind is that there are light and ventilation requirements. And although this helps with light, doesn't really help with ventilation. So you're gonna have to meet that requirement by code.
Right, well, we had
Yeah.
code and he said that, and again, I think we met with Kevin. But they liked it from the light standpoint and they said
Yeah.
that what we have, I think ample. Putting in, a whole HVAC. And
Oh, okay. If it's mechanical, it's mechanical. That's fine. I just wanted you to keep that in mind.
oh yeah, there's actually, I mean, it's a big HVAC project because we're correcting the problems on the second floor, putting a whole system in dedicated to the third floor, and then this back one back here is getting a separate unit as well. So there's actually 3 HVAC units. There'll be a total of 4 at the place. So there's
Okay.
going to be ample ventilation.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity too, how's it? I mean, you might not have knowledge of this, but the architect might, but how's it being supported? Because typically that has vertical running studs there for that opening.
Well, I mean,
Is it just a really thick frame?
it is a
triangular
thick frame.
or-
And all the peaks are a thick frame.
So, and this is just a suggestion as well. What I'm hearing is a period piece window in the front can be bigger, but it would be an historic type frame window. So you can make it bigger. It would look better if it was one of those typical windows that you would have seen back in that period of time. The back, we are very flexible with. Probably if we had our druthers, it would be another period piece window that would fit back there and would work. However, if you want more light, I think I'm hearing from the board that they would be flexible to allow you to either put full glass in or at least some bigger glass in, screen it if you would like. John's suggesting that it may be a reflection. It could be. So we're all for that in the back. But I think that's kind of framing where we're headed, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, David, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Okay, so
Okay.
it sounds like I need to do a little bit more gathering of information and preparing to basically,
Yeah, Dylan can help you with a typical window that we would see in that period of time. And I don't know procedurally how would they have to come back or would we make a motion and they'd have to put the final in?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So probably for your benefit, we have to table it now for you to have an opportunity to bring that back and get and submit it, and come to the next meeting, get it approved.
okay. and
Okay.
I'll try to get
Hopefully
some,
we've been helpful to you. We
no, it has been
If-
helpful. And I'll try to get some information on like, the reflectivity of if it's screened, how that will
Mhm.
reduce it or how it will impact
Right.
it.
Like another
And maybe even try to get a sample,
second. meeting.
from them.
Okay, all right, well, yes. What's the next meeting scheduled?
May 2nd.
May 2nd?
I want to say it's May 2nd.
Would you give us his name for the record too?
Yeah, that's Nick Millard,
Okay. You'll work with Dylan to help pick out a period piece window if that's where you're headed.
In the
Oh.
historic guidelines, it says you should not change the opening on the side, like the actual size of the opening. So
In it-
that's like what we're wrestling with is how to historically
Right.
get
In
around
this
that.
case, I think they did originally. I don't think that window was probably there. It
It's
looks
not the
like,
original
the other
window,
thing
but
I
it
would
is the
point
original
out
opening.
oh,
is
okay.
Because there's, if you look next door, bar two is the architect who did it, and it's a carbon copy of the building next door.
Okay,
So when you look at it, if the windows are different, it's pretty noticeable that they're different.
okay. All right.
Yeah, they actually were built at the same time for sisters, is my understanding, and I'm not even sure what there's
All
out
right.
there, but I
So,
do think.
so then
there's-
we would want a similar window to the one next door on the front facade,
Here,
right?
I can show you.
That'd be appropriate.
And then the back, we can be flexible. Thank you.
Well, I think we would still show, I mean, what we're trying to do, because. Yeah, I can see a window there.
That's the building next door, but you can't really see it from here, but it's the exact, like, it's pretty much a carbon copy of the one next door. And they are obviously replacement windows, but they're similar.
So double,
both like-
double hung with grading. Okay.
I have a question. Your third floor, the treatment, the exterior treatment, is that vinyl siding, the existing shingles, or they would?
Is what we have on it?
Yeah.
What we have now is vinyl. We didn't, when we bought it, it was like that on the outside. It is vinyl siding on the outside.
The only reason I'm asking, looking at the sister's house, I'm looking at the half timbering to the third floor pediments and wondering if they're not pre-existing underneath the vinyl siding, which would change their game a little bit. There's only one way to find out.
Okay. Have,
Well, I mean, so yeah, it could still be under there. We don't know. I mean, at some point we want to find it out. And I mean, that would be an option too, is if we screen print it to look like what it is over there on the other side.
Very cool.
So I think, again, I'll prepare some other images, and if I need to get them to Dylan in advance, I'll do that.
okay.
And we'll revisit it.
All right. Thank you very much. Hopefully we've been helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do
can
appreciate
make-
the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
motion to
Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this, just with more information as we discussed about window options front and back.
Seconded by John. All in favor? Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Okay, wanna Turn this off or?
22 Front
you-
Street.
Gonna look pretty when you're done. Gonna look pretty when you're done. No, bathroom's over there. That way. You wanna leave? Or we'll put you to work.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Give us your name and then we'll have staff do a brief presentation.
Name is Keith Oberg and I'm president of Discoveries in Sculpture.
Hi,
And I'm here
Keith.
about 22 Front Street.
Dylan?
So the applicant Discoveries and Sculpture would like to restore and repair the front porch, including replace the existing decking with tongue and groove, install columns on the front porch of the structure to match existing, replace trim to match existing, repair and replace ground molding, and paint all match existing. I believe white, right?
Correct.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add to that?
There are a few things I'd like
Okay.
to add. So everything that I'm trying to do is restoration of the house, and particularly the exterior. Even the interior is going to be a restoration, but regarding the exterior, there is quite a bit of ongoing water seepage into the structure that I'm trying to prevent as soon as possible. The porch is the biggest item in that list. The roof, the upper roof has been replaced. However, we have not been able to secure some of the edges because of decay of some of the trim around that edge. And I would like to add that to what we're doing. Now, it's a repair, I think, and we are going to use in-kind materials for this, but I want to make sure I'm running that by you folks. I applied last year with you folks for an overall approval for the project in general. When Sean McGee was in your place, Ellen. And so we did sort of bring those things up, that sort of general process of what we're trying to do. The application, however, and I did it very quickly because I realized your schedule in mind that I needed to do that, did not include discussion of those sorts of repairs around the perimeter of the house. They include some siding repair, there's wood clapboard siding. It's a standard profile that I can get right out of the lumber yard today. So repairing that will not, there's no custom milling or anything like that that has to be done. But I would like to also be able to do that with your approval. And then the last thing is perhaps a little bit controversial, so I want to bring it up right now in case we want to discuss this further. And that is storm windows. So right now the house has white aluminum storm windows on all the second floor windows. It does not have storm windows on the first floor windows. I want to add storm windows to the first floor windows to match the ones on the second floor windows for obvious energy savings reasons. I did talk to Sean about that last year and he said, well, could you put, vinyl, on the interior? He said, well, I could, but it wouldn't preserve the windows as I think storm windows can. And they are certainly getting weathered over the years. And secondly, it wouldn't match the second floor. So I am hoping that you will approve my adding windows, storm windows to match the second floor windows on the first floor.
We have a photograph that would show the windows, the storm on the,
I do have some that I brought myself. Oh, you have those, okay. Hard to see, but, I think that's actually sort of the point that the weight aluminum storms that are on there really sure. Absolutely. I think I'm one short.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Hi, so you would be replacing these pillars as well, right? Is that part of the restoration process? So the skinny ones that look different would look like this in the end.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yeah, this
so-
is a
okay,
restoration.
Right, and I just want to make sure, no, they're beautiful, and I'm just wondering, so also, like, what material do you use for, is it going to be wood, like, how,
Okay, so the existing pillars are wood.
right,
The columns, I guess you'd say. The decorative ionic
Yep.
capitals
Yep.
are plaster, and I believe they're originally plaster. One pillar is different from the others, which I discovered as I was trying to duplicate what we have. It's not obvious, but it is a newer column, probably 20, 30 years old, I would suspect, but not exactly like the others. But my intent is to get very, very close to the
Mhm.
others. I found a company that can make them for us.
okay, thank you.
Sure. And the porch flooring will match the existing and it's, clear, fine grain per flooring, classic porch flooring.
comments?
I like it. We're gonna have the 6 pillars across the front facade.
Mhm.
Mhm. You're gonna keep the existing iron railing for the steps?
I haven't decided on that. It's obviously not historic. So
Notice that, huh?
it would be nice to replace that,
Mhm.
but it's kind of low on the priority list at this point.
I'm certainly good with the porch restoration and the other millwork that's needed in the pillars.
All right, we're okay with repair in kind as well, right?
Absolutely. I am.
All right, so that's two components of it. And what are our feelings about the storm windows?
Does that actually come before us?
That wasn't actually on this application. It was just for the porch repairs and some of the other
Yeah,
repairs
no,
that he
I
needed
thought
to
of
do.
this afterwards, so. We can come back if you'd like.
So I mean, if you want him to, you'd fill out another application if you
Sure.
want. Yeah.
I'm happy to do the storm windows in the interest of the house, but I don't think we can vote on something.
No, I was hoping to give some guidance. I guess that's my intent. Are we, just as guidance, are we comfortable with his intention of matching the second floor storm? Or is there an issue with that?
I mean, the second floor looks like they have the vertical mutton sort of look going to it. The divider in the middle of the window.
They're classic triple track white aluminum storm windows.
Your existing first floor front facade windows, are these sealing the floor windows?
Darn close to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are. I think it was 90 inches. I think it's 90 inches tall. They're the highest storm. I did some research. The tallest storm windows that you could buy without super custom manufacturing.
Are the windows capable of being considered like a door to walk through if they were open, or are they double hung windows? Are they door-like windows? The
I'm
first
not
floor.
sure what you're asking. They are classic double hung
Okay,
windows.
That answers my question.
Okay.
I don't know how to ask what I was asking either, but I knew what you meant. Thank you.
Yeah, they're not generally openable at this point. There are too many layers of paint on them. And I don't actually expect we will want to open them. It's just, we intend to install
If
cooling
that's,
and heating that will
if
not
if
require.
that's your
open
intent,
windows.
I would probably lean towards a single large storm window for that first floor facade.
I thought about that myself. I mean, the sash is, as you look at the window, because they're double hung, you have that same bar of white painted wood at the same level that you would with a storm window.
Okay.
So I didn't think it made much of a difference in terms of, and the second floor is standard triple track with that.
Mhm.
Right in the middle.
I'm just thinking there isn't a necessity for the screening and movable windows if you don't have them.
Correct. I agree with you. Yeah. No need for screens.
I like the porch, I like the pillars, I like the repair. I'm certainly supportive of anything else going forward. And I'm certainly supportive of anything else going forward that we are allowed to do.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm clear on what his guidance is for the storms. Because
So
he
why
wants
don't-
to put that application in next.
Let's do that. Let's vote on what we have and maybe get him working and he can come back in May with the update for the storm windows and stuff.
Okay, maybe option, you're gonna come back with options for the storm? Okay. Any further discussion from the board? Or you want to frame a motion?
I will give it a try, my friend. So I make a motion to approve the project for 22 Front Street is presented for the replacement of the front porch pillars, the replacement of the porch, work in kind, the restoration of unnecessary components thereof, and with the strong suggestion of making a presentation before the board next month for your storm windows and your other projects, including your siding.
Sure. Okay.
Second. Dan? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, under other business, we have outdoor cafe regulations revisions to.
Yes, we had to change some of the language of the outdoor cafe guidelines to reflect the fact that the city clerk's office isn't really going to be doing a lot of it. It's going to go through planning, it's going to go through development. So basically, we took out one of the appendices was a language in the charter that put the kind of responsibility for it in the clerk's office, and we took it out of the outdoor cafe design guidelines. Also, this would make it administratively possible that if they follow these design guidelines, they wouldn't have to go to the COD meetings to get their outdoor cafe approved. We could just do it in-house administratively. Because there's only 4 things to an outdoor cafe. There's a barrier, a chair, a table, and an umbrella. And if it matches historic guidelines, all of these businesses would have to come before the COD meetings and get approved. And it'd be easier if it was just administrative.
Yeah, I remember going through this. Dan, I don't know if you were on the board. John and I were, David, you knew, but so we spent a lot of
Lot
time
of time.
going through the guidelines. I'm comfortable still with guidelines. I think when they first hit, there was some confusion in the public because we were getting some really wild colors and different plastic things, and you know, they were hard to enforce. The leading edge was not right. The chains were not right. There was all kinds of stuff. So have you guys, has staff seen a more consistency out there with the cafe guidelines? Because once they got approved once, I would assume they just keep, it was a 3-year permit, wasn't it? Or something like that?
4, I believe.
4?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I mean, we haven't heard much about it. Seems like as you drive around, everything seems pretty uniform. There's nothing been too crazy.
Well, I think once they got approved, they just stuck, like, they don't change very much. Lost
Yeah.
Dogs is still the same. I think Craft
Right.
is still the same.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing one for years and we just take the previous year's application. If there are any modifications, they're minimal, and resubmit it. It's
Okay.
fairly straightforward.
So most of the ones we get are just repeats.
Okay. So David, as a user, you find the regulations have been, I mean, you follow them, they seem to be okay, straightforward.
Yeah, it's all very fairly straightforward. I mean, we
Okay.
haven't had any issues on my end in terms of the application process. Again, it's just kind of you know, resubmitting what we've done in previous years with very small changes. It's fine.
Are you guys comfortable with them? You know, if they've got everything matched, there's no reason for them to come back here, right?
I'm comfortable never having to see an outdoor cafe permit again.
Yeah, all right. All right. We're not looking for work. So I think we're okay. And we need a formal motion to approve your revisions? Or no? Or you're just telling us information? Okay,
The change in the permitting process more than anything. So
okay.
I don't
All right.
think-
So really, there's no motion to this information for us.
If
all
you're
right.
opposed to it, you should let us know.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe
Anyone
we should do
opposed to
a
what they're changing?
Had called that we're in favor of it.
Yeah, I think we're all in favor of it.
All in favor.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other business? Anybody have anything they want to discuss?
Binghamton Shriners Antique Show, April 15th and 16th, SUNY Broom Ice Rink. Be there, or be square.
I'm not sure you can plug. Are you allowed to plug at these things? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. All right.
So I'll ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Dave, what's the special today? Do you want to put in a plug
Yeah,
or?
I would really recommend a spicy chicken sandwich. They're delicious.
Okay.
I do have a quick question. We're at risk today of almost not having a forum. I don't know how often it does
It's-
or doesn't happen. Is that part of the charter, or is that?
It's been part of the issue. It always has been part of the issue. John, probably before me, it was part of the issue.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. Yeah, because most of us got our other jobs we do and things come up and we can't get it yet.
Right. I will
So,
say that
so our number is supposed to be what, 7?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to
Yeah.
have 7? And how many do we have now? We have 7. Right. So we're missing 3 today, which is, you know, you wouldn't think would happen too consistently, but unfortunately it does.
early on, 10, 15 years ago, the board consisted of virtually all retirees. And it was uncommon to have anybody missing.
Yeah.
You know, but now as we're getting to young working people again, young, you like that, guys? Young. Now it's a different thing because the calendars are different, the scheduling's different.
Sure, no, and yeah, and I almost had a conflict today as well last minute. I guess my curiosity, is there any potential work around going forward? Is there anything we can do to make a modification? So, that, you know, maybe there's alternate commissioners that could step in or someone could.
We've
join via
occasionally
Zoom.
scheduled special meeting, if we couldn't get the quorum, like on Tuesday, if we could meet on the next Thursday or Friday. And everyone could get in, we'd come in and do it, but
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud and.
Yeah,
instead
no,
of,
it's
you know,
a-
Kicking the can down the road for another month. for
Yeah.
Someone that has a pending project. Okay.
It's kind of like since they're appointed by the mayor, those 7 people are those 7 people and that's it. And in the charter, it states that it's a majority. So you need at least 4 of them here.
Okay.
testament to my commitment to this board is I'm here today to make the quorum. I'm on the mend, but I don't feel good.
There could have been 3 places I could have been today, yeah,
Yeah,
but I
right.
knew we didn't have a quorum, so I'm here, right? I want to get the business done.
Yeah, that's our job. That's, we accepted the appointment, understanding the rules. I want a Caud mask.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
Yeah.
curious. I was just thinking out loud more.
but it has slowed business down before. We have had not, people not show for a quorum and we've had to stop, couldn't have the meeting. Right.
They-
I mean, I appreciate the change to 12:15 just to, have people be able to get here at 12:15. One point it was 12:30, right? But 12:15 seems fine. And we did it at noon, so the public could come. Hopefully they're on their lunch period or something. That was the thought. And then we talked about at night and nobody seems to want to go after 5 or 5 or after. Yeah.
So in terms of the majority vote, that would have to be a change to the actual charter. What's the
Yeah.
mechanism to do that? If it was something we wanted to do. Okay.
Okay.
And
Anything
all of
else? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Thank you.